So I just got home and then I saw a police brutality thing. Like, hey, I gotta add them.
What did you guys debate about?
Yesterday we debated about feminism. On a back row. Well, actually, Marvin ended up taking the phone and then having his own argument with him about taxes.
Marvin thought that there doesn't need to be taxes in the first place, so
Yeah,
Marvin's a straight G.
he's okay.
So police brutality doesn't just target minorities or statistically majority.
Okay, so I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. This might not work because the Wi-Fi at my school sucks. So if it doesn't, we could just continue this when I'm out.
Yeah, that's totally all right.
He's gonna help me today. She's gonna be my Marvin.
Yes. I like your ceiling fan.
Thank you. It's a nice ceiling fan, isn't it?
Okay, but please. Okay, so like I stated, police brutality doesn't just target minorities. Like obviously, police brutality affects me. It'll affect you. It'll affect everybody. Just anybody who just comes encounter with a bad police officer, it's gonna affect them regardless of their race. But statistically, like going off of like numbers and how many like minorities make up America and how much the majority makes up America and how much like the percentage compared to like the makeup of America and how much the majority is getting, like the percentage of the majority who is dealing with police brutality and the minority who's dealing with police brutality, the percentage is more minorities are getting attacked than majority, just based off of like percentage, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I think first of all, it's important to notice that blacks commit 4.7. And this is nothing again. I'm not racist, but blacks commit 4.7 times as many crimes as white people do. Hispanics commit 1.8 times as many, and so I would not argue that more cases of police brutality affect minorities. We also have to remember that more convicted crimes are occurring by minorities. Police brutality, I am very close to a lot of police officers. I think wakes up in the morning and I'm going to target people and I'm going to purposely be brutal to them. Never that. So I think police brutality is a sort of a figment of the imagination of the liberal agenda. It takes away from. So, unfortunately, the breakdown of the familial unit, especially with minorities, 70% of children are born out of wedlock. Well over 70% are born out of wedlock, and 70% of African American children are raised in a single family or a single parent. So I think you need to look at that and look at the way that's impacting the whole social situation of the minorities. Because they're committing crimes, so many of their lives are ruined when they are convicted, when they are caught. And it's easy to put that blame off of yourself and blame it on police because they're the people arresting you. Even though the police are just in accordance with the laws set in place for them, when they see someone doing something illegal, it's not only their job, it's their legal obligation to intervene.
Well, yeah, I mean, police brutality is a thing. It's not a figment of anybody's imagination. It happens. Police abuse people all the time. They abuse their power regardless of if they're going to arrest me, if they're going to arrest you, they can abuse their power. Police brutality is a thing. There's video evidence of police brutality. There is recorded evidence. There are court cases. Hello, Sadie. There is court cases fighting police brutality. So it's like a thing. It's
sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So it's like it's a thing. It's not like something. Yep. It's not like we are just using it to say, oh, the police are racist, because I have been pulled over countless times and I have only encountered nice police officers. So I don't think all police officers are mean. I'm not like a police hating Black woman. I really don't hate police officers. They're really nice. The ones I've encountered at least are really nice. It's more of a problem with like a broken system than police waking up in the morning and being like, oh, I'm going to arrest 30 Black people today and only 10 white people. Because that isn't what is going on. It's just systematically the system.
That's what you're saying or what he's saying?
That's what we're arguing. That was what.
Well, I mean, I'm agreeing with you on all that you're saying. I don't think that
He's kind of cute.
police brutality. I don't think that police brutality is nearly as prevalent as the liberal agenda makes it out to be. Yes, I'm not arguing that there are cases of police brutality. There are cases of police abusing their power and going way too far. But I would definitely argue with you in the majority of,
Because we want to, Jed.
yeah, Jen, come on.
Yeah, see, even he says, yeah, Jed.
So I don't.
Hey, wait, hold on 1 second. Would you argue with a stranger?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing it right now, so.
Oh,
It depends on the situation.
okay.
I said that or you did.
Sorry, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about how it is more, you think it's pushed more on the liberal agenda than it really does happen.
Yeah, it's they make it out to be a lot more common than it is, and I think that the liberal movement, especially Black Lives Matter, I'm all for equality. I love equality. There should be racism is a stupid thing, but the way Black Lives Matter and many of the liberals are going is that they're really creating an enemy, like a war between the minorities and the cops, right? They're doing it to themselves. When they're in the streets, when Black Lives Matter is in the streets and they're chanting, what do we want? Dead cops, when do we want them now? That is not only racist, but that is just furthering the divide between them.
It's not racist because police officers, it's okay. If they were like chanting kill all white police officers, then it would be racist. I'm not saying that they should go out and chant kill police officers. I've participated myself in a protest based off of like Black Lives Matter in my town, but it was a peaceful protest. All we did was walk downtown. All of the streets were already blocked off. Mm-hmm. We even had police escorts. So it's not like it's okay. So for example, like I kind of said yesterday, the KKK is a subdivision of Christian culture. Not all Christians think that way. Not all Christians are as extreme as the KKK. Not all Black Lives Matter supporters are going to chant kill all white people or kill the pig or just Black Lives Matter, because my best friend is white. I think her life is as equal to mine as your life is equal to mine, and your life is equal to hers as a police officer's would be. Everybody's life has an equal value. I just believe sometimes with the system specifically, police officers let it get to them that they can bend the rules because they are the ones that are supposed to be enforcing them. Because that happens a lot, especially like even like the president, they bend the rules themselves because they are the one enforcing them. Therefore, they can bend the rules and they won't get in trouble like a normal civilian would. And actually, my friend Erin pulled up some statistics.
All right, so these are from 2013, so it's actually even before the Black Lives Matter movement like started. In California, the number of violent crimes for felony arrests by offense and race in California, for white people, 30,415, Black people, 23,683, showing you white people committed more violent crimes than Black people.
And percentage-wise, more of those Black people that committed the same crime that a white person committed will serve either a longer sentence or a sentence, like even just a sentence in general. Like we could commit the same crime and I will not always, but the majority of the time, what has been happening is I will end up serving a longer sentence or just a sentence in general, and she will either serve like 3 months, or she'll be on probation, or she'll just get let off with a warning, or she'll be given a fine.
And then it's like the arrest rate per 100,000 people, white people 204, Black people 1,093.
So that is, like I said, first of all, I think an important distinction to make is I do not at all agree with our justice system right now. I think something even more prevalent than the white to Black sentencing rates is the male to female sentencing rates. On average, females get 67% less time for the same crime as a male. So taking it back to the whole, how many crimes are committed by a white person versus a Black person out of 100,000? Yes, less crimes are committed by white people. And I'm not saying white people are better people at all.
No, I know.
It's a systematic whole situation that we're in. And it's the breakdown of the family unit, like I said.
How many?
Let me see. Here,
in a one-parent family, it's much harder to make your way to go to college. But you can't be placing the blame on the police. Not the police's fault, and it's not their. It's not that it's brutality. And if you're saying, like you said, statistically more minorities are subject to police brutality, I don't think police brutality is as prevalent as the liberal media makes it out to be. But if it is as prevalent, I would agree. Yes, it does affect minorities more because they're more often committing the crime. And more often, there's a culture within the Black community that you want to fight back against cops. You want to not let them be arrested, and that leads to police having to use excess force.
Okay, that I agree with.
With what?
He was saying that there's like this culture within their community where it's like they will try to resist arrest and like argue with the cops and stuff like that, which is gets to the point where the cops will have to use more force.
I believe the reason why, and I can't speak for everybody because everybody has, different opinions and different views and dealing with things differently. But I believe the reason why in our culture we resist more because we know that there is more of a chance that if we do get arrested, we're still going to be sentenced more than what we should have, or if we.
So why are the resistance rates of females so much higher than men? Because females get smaller sentencing rates. If you're following that,
We own the world.
No,
'cause we
you
have
own-
vaginas.
No, Aaron, this is serious.
I know, but
No, I really could not tell you why the resistance is higher in women than men. I mean, I feel personally, if a woman and a man commit the same crime, they should serve the same sentence regardless of gender. Just if they committed the same crime, they did the same exact thing, they should serve the same sentence. Me and you should serve the same sentence. If we both killed somebody, we should both go to prison for however long they decide, but it should be equal.
no.
the prison should be equal too.
More-
Female prisons are a much better place to be than a male prison, on average.
I mean, I like again, I can't really speak for anybody else but myself.
That's yours.
No, that's actually Marvin's.
Mm.
But I personally, if I were to get pulled over, okay, this happened to Marvin and I. We were speeding in like a 35. We were doing like 40, 50 something. I don't remember what we were doing, but Marvin got pulled over and I was ahead of him. So I stopped myself because I know if Marvin would have gotten pulled over and I would not have stopped, he would have been arrested. So I pulled myself over and a police officer came to my car and two police officers went to his car. They questioned both of us, asked us why we were speeding, where we were going, what we were doing, blah, blah, blah. I was fine. In his car, though, they found, they smelled marijuana or something. I don't remember. So they told him to get out of his car and they were going to search it. He didn't resist. I mean, obviously he was upset and he was mad and he was arguing with them, but he didn't resist. He got out of his car. He let them search his car. They only found like a hitter or something. But I got out of my car myself. I asked a police officer if I could step out of my car and they said it was okay. I went over to Marvin. I calmed him down. I had a civil conversation with the police officers. Thankfully, my situation went the right way. We were told that we were doing wrong. We didn't get any tickets or anything. Thankfully, we were told to go home, and that was that.
Yeah.
In other situations, though, not always, because this doesn't always happen. It does seem like it happens a lot more because it's on social media, because it's becoming viral. Not that it does happen more often, but the fact that it does happen is the problem in general. But in other situations, that exact situation between Marvin and I could have happened to somebody else. We could have been completely civil. We could have had a civil conversation and was not resisting anything, and we still could have either ended up arrested for anything. We could have ended up shot. We could have ended up killed.
So
Sometimes this happens.
if you were shot in that situation without resisting at all, that police officer would be convicted for murder.
That doesn't always happen.
So can you name a case where a police officer, in your opinion, murdered someone and was not convicted?
What? Could you repeat like the first 5 words?
Yeah, could you name a case, in your opinion, where a police officer murdered someone and was not convicted of it?
Off of the top of my head, I can't name like an actual case. Will you unlock that? But I do know. I'll find one. I know it just happened like not too recently, but I believe he was sitting in his car with his girlfriend. He was following all of the. Will you Google it? It was. You know what I'm talking about? There was video evidence. His child or her child was in the back of the car. They got pulled over for like having a missing headlight or something like that. It wasn't anything major, and they asked for proof of insurance, and he said, just so you know, and they lived in a state where concealed carry was legal. He was like, just so you know, I'm going to, or maybe it was they asked for his license, but he was like, okay, I'm just going to warn you before I move my hands. I do have a gun on my side. It is concealed, but I have my gun license if you would like to see that too. He told the police officer that even before he had moved his hands, before he had even done anything else, he let him know that there was a gun. He wasn't reaching for the gun or anything. The police officer was like, okay, since he let him know, obviously there shouldn't have been any problems. He was just reaching for his license. He tried to grab his license. He pulled up his shirt to reach into his pocket, and the police officer shot him 5 times in front of his girlfriend and his girlfriend's daughter. Killed him on the spot. He wasn't resisting arrest. He wasn't resisting anything. He wasn't disobeying the police officer. The girlfriend wasn't disobeying the police officer. They were all complying by whatever the police officer was asking them to do. He still shot and killed him, and I don't believe he was convicted. I actually think they gave him almost basically a paid vacation. They paid him, but he wasn't working.
Okay, so like I said, I don't disagree. There are cases like that. I think that the only way you could argue that it affects more minorities is if you also include that minorities are the one committing the most of the crimes. You pulled up the statistics of California, in 2013 having less violent crimes, but in general, blacks commit, I believe it's 700% more violent crimes than whites do per capita. And I think an important thing to remember is not the police on black or minority violence, but the minority on police violence. When a policeman kills a black person, it is all over the news. We hear about it for weeks. But when a black person kills a policeman, no one hears about it. It's brushed off, and it's not. More police officers are killed by black people than black people are by police officers for like the brutality.
Okay, with that. I'm sorry. Well, okay, with that whole thing, I don't even think that the black people that are being murdered or anybody who's being murdered, I don't think that their videos should go viral at all, just for respect of them and their family. It shouldn't be surfacing around, because I couldn't imagine opening my Twitter and seeing a video of my loved one being murdered. That in my entire opinion, I don't think that should be like surfacing. But okay.
That's the first thing it says. It's like the right to have that out. So.
Well, yeah, and I wish that didn't happen. I also do wish that, like, regardless of who murdered who, it should still get. I don't even think it should get media coverage unless it was like a controversial topic, like somebody murdered somebody else and they're blaming somebody, so that person got arrested and the actual murderer didn't. Something like that should become viral. Something like that should surface on the internet, and then some people should have conversations about that. Now, if I were to kill a police officer, that shouldn't go on the internet. I should be arrested. If a police officer were to kill me, that shouldn't surface on the internet. He should be arrested. I don't think, I feel bad for the family of not just the minorities that are being murdered, but the police officers that are being murdered, especially since the police officers that are being murdered aren't getting the condolences and the grievance that the minorities would have. And that does make me sad, because everybody who was murdered wrongly should get the same type of recognition, regardless of what type of recognition that is. So, I mean, that I don't necessarily agree with. Minority, not even minority, just any race attack on a police officer is wrong, just like a police officer's attack on anybody is wrong. I still do believe, though, that statistically, at least, going off of numbers, the fact that I believe blacks make, less than 10% of the population, but they make up more than, I believe, and I'm not sure, I haven't read this in a while, so I might not be entirely correct, but I do know that the number is near 70%. The 5% of our race makes up 70% of people incarcerated. Now, yes, you can go back to your argument saying minorities, especially black men, do commit more crimes than.
It has nothing to do with police brutality. It has to do with who's committing the crimes. It's the social construct of the situation the black and the other minorities are in. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know if you know anything about it, but we have a huge Latino population. A lot of illegal immigrants. And many of them I know are awesome people, but the majority of the crimes here are committed by the illegal immigrants. It's not the police officers' fault. It's the people committing the crimes. Do you think the police are racist? Is that why do you think that most police brutality? Do you think it's because they are the most crimes, or do you think it's because of how they're handling the once they get pulled over? Do you think it's because of how the minorities are handling it, or do you think the police are just racist?
Okay, well, I can't speak for all police officers and say all police officers are racist, because since I did say I've been pulled over by police officers, they have all been white and none of them have obviously killed me. So I can't say all police officers are racist because they're not. But I do believe, like, when you're saying minorities commit the most crimes, I do believe that, and I've had this conversation with my teacher actually, it's most of the time they're committing crimes because like they come from, and I believe you did actually say this, they come from like lower income families, and they come from like bad neighborhoods, so they have to
Single parent.
they have to steal to get food, or they have to steal to get money, or they join
They
a
don't have
gang.
you don't. You can easily go to a homeless shelter and get food. They don't ID you. They don't see if you're a citizen. You can easily walk in there and get food anytime you want. You don't.
Yes, but also that resource is for homeless people. And a lot of times homeless centers, at least here, are very, very, very low on what they need. They're very low on food. They're very low on clothes. Anything that a person needs, at least here, I don't know how it is where you live or where anybody else lives, but in Springfield, Illinois, the need for food, the need for especially like winter clothes right now for our homeless shelters is so high. Somebody who lives in a poor neighborhood can't go to a homeless shelter and get those items because they are reserving them for the homeless. Now, that's not the situation in every town, and I know that a lot of times, like especially in California where the population is bigger, they are going to have more items to share with through the homeless community, and they can spare to give some to people who actually have houses. But like a lot of times going to the Black community, a lot of times like they'll join gangs because, well, for one, they have a bad family life or a home life. They don't have a stable home. They don't feel like they belong there. So people join gangs to have like that brotherhood, or that I'm joining, like the mindset of somebody joining a gang usually isn't, oh, I'm joining a gang because I want to kill somebody, or a lot of times they join it because, oh, I'm joining it because these people are my brothers, and if I die, they're going to kill the person who killed me, and I can get that type of protection and support that I don't have at home. So that's one thing about like especially gangs. Most of the time they're not being joined just because somebody wants to be in a gang and throw up gang signs and look cool. That does happen sometimes, and those are just the ignorant like 1%. But like poorer neighborhoods, especially if you, because I grew up not in the richest neighborhood. It wasn't the poorest, but I definitely didn't grow up in the suburbs. I'll consider it the ghetto. I've seen yes, it is a lot more than 1%, but I didn't want to over exaggerate it. But I've seen drug deals. I've lived next to a drug dealer. I've seen a car explode because a drug dealer shorted somebody. I've seen somebody get shot in the back. People who grow up in neighborhoods like that, and I'm just lucky that I didn't turn. Yes, I under-exaggerated because it's easier to under-exaggerate and make up for your mistakes than over-exaggerate and make it sound like you're stupid. Anyways, I was just lucky, and I didn't fall into like systematic crimes that happen, in the ghetto neighborhoods, or I didn't fall into a gang. I had a family who supported me, so I didn't look for people to support me that also had bad habits. But a lot of times people in poorer neighborhoods do end up stealing because they don't have that stuff, or they do end up like murdering somebody. And I don't know if it's because they were never really taught that murder was wrong, or if it's because they know that murder is wrong, but you don't really have anything to lose because you don't have anything, if that makes sense.
So, sorry. I think we agree on most of what we're saying.
Yeah, no,
What would your
we all know that police brutality, regardless if it is extremely bad in the system or it's not, we all know that police brutality is wrong. It's just we're really just disagreeing on who is really getting attacked and why they're being arrested, I guess.
So what would your solution to this be? Especially how you mentioned how you believe it targets minorities. What would your solution be?
Well, because I have heard interviews of like police officers who have murdered a minority, and they will say personally in the interview, "Oh, I shot them because I was scared of them." I feel like maybe police officers should go through more extensive training, either mentally, because I know they have to go through some form of mental training just to get to like, oh, if you have to murder somebody, it's not going to like make you depressed, you know? So they have to go through some form of mental training, but I feel like maybe it should be more extensive to train them, because if you're a police officer, you shouldn't be scared of a black male, because not only do you have a taser, you have a baton, you have a gun, you are literally not physically, but like systematically above another person, because you are the one that is arresting them. So you shouldn't be scared of a civilian who has no gun or who does have a gun, because regardless if they do have a gun and they shoot you, they're still going to be arrested. And now I understand.
But if you're dead, it doesn't matter if they're arrested.
Well, yeah, no, I do understand that though. If somebody pulled out a gun on me and started shooting me, I'm going to fear for my life and I'm going to defend myself. But there is certain spots that they have been trained to shoot that's going to not paralyze, but it's going to cause the person who is shooting at the police officer to either fall or drop their weapon or anything. It's not going to kill them, but it is going to get the weapon out of their hand, and it's going to put the officer in a lot safer situation than he would have if he would have completely killed the person. I just feel like maybe the training shouldn't be automatically go for the head or automatically go for the chest. Maybe it should be shoot them in the leg. This is where you can shoot them and it'll make them fall. Therefore, you can arrest them and you don't have to worry about them shooting you. Or this is where you shoot them on your wrist to make them like drop their weapon or something. And also, like I said, that mental test to make sure that they can actually withstand, oh, you pull over a black man and he has a gun, what are you going to do about it?
So, I think it's important to remember that police officers are people too.
Well,
And-
yeah.
Yeah, but when black people are walking through the streets thinking what they want dead cops, I think it's a natural response to kind of be scared. So I probably have to get going. But,
Yeah. It was actually a lot better conversation than it was yesterday, but
Yeah.
I'll be back on here sometime. So if you want to have
Me
another
too.
meeting, I'll be back.
Cool. I'm during finals week, so like I get off super early. So
Okay. Well, I'll be back. Wait,
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.